One of the most viewed videos on my channel back from 2019-ish was published in the offseason. It was talking about the Vancouver Canucks' most recent drafted prospect, Quinn Hughes, and whether or not one of his younger brothers would be better than he was. And if you remember this video, you'll remember who we were talking about. We were talking not only about Jack Hughes, the consensus first overall pick of the next year, but we were talking about the youngest Hughes of them all, a guy who was playing for the Little Caesars AAA team back in the junior hockey scene, a guy who wasn't supposed to be drafted until 2 years after that video was made. One of the top videos on my YouTube channel back in 2019 was whether or not Luke Hughes would be the best Hughes. Now, as we had said, back when I made this video, the guy was just playing in his junior hockey career. He was playing for the Little Caesar squad, and he was coming off a really good year. 83 points, 71 games played as a defenseman for the 15 AAA team. Of course, these numbers don't really mean too much when you acknowledge that a lot of players play pretty well in the U15 AAA scene, but back in this time frame, there was a conversation going about Luke Hughes because he was so good, and there were many comparisons being made about him and his skating, how he was already bigger than the other two Hughes brothers, how he's producing a lot of points, and how if this guy could pan out, you're looking at maybe a stridier, lankier version of Quinn Hughes who had a bigger frame, but also the same offensive output. Now, it's been a few years since that video was made, 4 years actually, and Luke Hughes is set to making his full-time NHL rookie season a reality. After a whole bunch of success with the NCAA's University of Michigan Wolverines and the US NTDP. Now, what I wanted to ask in this video was a pretty simple question. How good is Luke Hughes going to be, really? And you could interpret this in many ways. Okay, are we going to talk about next season? Are we going to talk about in his career? I wanted to focus more so just on next season because I think long-term we're all sort of expecting Hughes to be as good as we believed he could be when he was drafted 4th overall back in 2021. Luke Hughes, for all intents and purposes, is one of the top defenseman prospects in the NHL today. Last year, he was way over a point per game, 48 points in 39 Michigan Wolverines games, and he had 2 points in 2 New Jersey Devils games. He was a pretty good player, all things considered. Even in the postseason, he had 2 assists in the 3-game sample he had there. What you're getting with Luke Hughes is not necessarily the same sort of profile as Quinn Hughes, where Quinn is a lot more of a cowboy with the puck in the offensive zone. He has the puck. I'd say maybe 60 to 65% of the time the Canucks are in the offensive zone when he is on the ice. He is just a beast at maintaining that blue line, controlling the zone, hovering around, setting guys up, and he racked up a ton of assists in the process because of it. Quinn Hughes was literally one of the top defensemen in points this previous season in the NHL. And while Luke Hughes won't necessarily have that same quality of just absolutely controlling the entire flow of his team's play through his stick, Luke still has a very good skill set of his own. He's able to pinch down into the trenches of the offensive zone. He's not afraid to take the puck for a skate down low. He's not afraid to inch and pinch towards the boards. And when he does get the puck, he makes really good quick decisions with it that allows the play to move forward for his team. While I won't say that Luke Hughes at this moment in time has the same isolation skills that Quinn has, Luke's offensive vision, his poise, what he's able to do and his decision-making with the puck, it's just so pristine that if you give this guy an opportunity on a top power play, which is probably not going to happen considering Dougie Hamilton is on this New Jersey Devils team too, you're looking at a defenseman that I feel like has realistic 40 to 60 point potential in his first NHL year. And I know I said 40 to 60, that's a huge range. But just the small sample size we had seen with the Devils this past year, the numbers are already there. It's just, can Luke Hughes sustain this type of production over the course of a full season? I'd say there's probably more reason to believe he can rather than cannot, especially since he had already been producing a hell of a lot of points against men in the NCAA this entire time. Might I remind you that Luke Hughes outproduced his older brother Quinn, he outproduced guys like Cale Makar too. He was so good in the NCAA. And sure, the Michigan Wolverines last year, they had a lot of help from guys like Adam Fantilli and all the other really good prospects they have, Rector McGroarty, Dylan Duke, Simashev, all over there with the Wolverine system. But it can't be said that Luke Hughes was not one of the top players on this team, especially after Owen Power left. Like, you had that load being split of 2021 draft-eligible Wolverines defensemen on the team. Yeah, Owen Power is gone now, and Luke Hughes still was able to produce a bunch of points. So, for Hughes, heading into next season's worth of play, it's all gonna boil down to opportunity, in my opinion. If you take a look at Quinn, sure, Luke Hughes outproduced Quinn pretty much everywhere they went. I think even in the NTDP, Luke Hughes had a much better NTDP season than Quinn Hughes did before making their NCAA career debuts. But for Quinn Hughes, in his first year with the Canucks, he had 53 points in 68 games played. Part of that was due to the opportunity, because nobody on the Vancouver Canucks blue line at this point was near Hughes' level of skill. You had other defensemen like Alex Edler and Tyler Myers and Tanev all there, but none of these guys had the offensive pizzazz that Quinn Hughes did. In New Jersey, you could debate that there are a few guys that could challenge that idea. Dougie Hamilton had 74 points last year. You still have Simon Nemec on this team, and he's probably going to have a pretty good start to his career when he eventually makes his debut. John Marino is still a devil. You still have Jonas Siegenthaler, who doesn't really produce many points, but who is still a good defenseman to have. And so, when it comes to splitting the load for ice time, it's really going to boil down to where the Devils decide to play Luke Hughes, and that's really going to determine how many points he's able to get. I have no doubt that he'll be a skilled player. He'll fit in with the play, he'll join the rush when he needs to, he'll have some really nice moments and some good highlights, hopefully some good duo moments with his older brother Jack. But when it comes to strict point production, we'll see where exactly the Devils go with their power play, and we'll see how exactly that affects the point production. Let's go over onto dailyfaceoff.com and look at the Devils' lines, try to see who they have on their power play units right now. So, the list here on Daily Faceoff says the first power play unit has Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Dougie Hamilton, and Jack Hughes. Okay, that's a pretty good power play unit if I do say so myself. Second unit, you've got Toffoli, Mercer, Holtz, Andre Palat, and Luke Hughes. So, not to say that this second power play unit is not great, it's definitely a good unit, but that first unit is going to hog up most of the minutes, and you can understand that they're going to probably get most of the points. No disrespect to Tyler Toffoli, Dawson Mercer, Alexander Holtz. If anything, I feel like Alexander Holtz is on the cusp of breaking out himself, thus providing a good scoring bump to that second power play unit. But Luke Hughes is really going to have to pull his weight if he wants to have a shot at contending for this 2024 Calder Trophy, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the Calder, a lot of these voters are going to vote based off of points. Moritz Seider had a 50-point year in his rookie season, so he won the Calder because he was already above and beyond everybody else in that rookie class. For Luke Hughes, he's not even only the best defenseman that is going to be in here. You've got other names like Brandt Clark, David Jiricek, of course Simon Nemec might be included in there too, that could be battling it out for top defenseman rookie in the NHL next year. For Luke, I have no doubt that he has the talent to be that. It's just, we have to see where the points go. And I'm putting such a big emphasis on points because that's really the biggest marker that we have to measure Luke Hughes in comparison to his brother, because Quinn Hughes has been outscored by Luke in every single facet of their career so far. When Luke Hughes was with the NTDP U17 team, he had 28 points in 48 games. Guess what? When Quinn was in the NTDP U17 team, he had fewer points in more games. Same thing could be said about the regular US NTDP. Quinn Hughes had 53 points in 65 games played. Luke Hughes had 34 points in 38, so of course the raw hard points are in Quinn Hughes' favor, but Luke had a much better points per game. Even with the Michigan Wolverines, Quinn was outscored by Luke in both their freshman and sophomore seasons, so Luke Hughes is on a better path than Quinn. It's just with Quinn, he was given such a grand stage in Vancouver to show himself off that I don't know if we're going to see the same thing happen to Luke in New Jersey. But at the end of the day, when it comes to talent, even though these guys have different skill sets, they're both very effective in the offensive zone in different ways. We're just going to have to wait and see how the points distribute over the next year, because that's going to be the biggest indicator as to defining where Luke Hughes falls in the Calder race and where he falls in relation to the other defensemen in this rookie class. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How good is Luke Hughes really? What are your expectations for him heading into next season? And do you think he outproduces Quinn Hughes and Quinn's, what was the number again? 53 points in 68 games played for the Vancouver Canucks in year one. Keep in mind, Quinn was also a point per game in the bubble playoffs that year. He had 16 points in 17 games when the Canucks lost in the second round to the Vegas Golden Knights. So thoughts in the comment section below about Luke Hughes. I'm just so happy that the video that we made 4 years ago is still relevant today, and we're bringing it back up because the guy's now entering the NHL. That is mind-bogglingly cool. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.